of discussion. SVM algorithm for classification. Okay, so this is what we'll discuss in this session. Okay, but before that, let me just take the questions from the last class. Okay, so the last class questions, like regarding the first question is regarding the train class. The first question that is related with the train test and split class parameter. Okay, the second questions that I'm having, that is what happened after the feature scaling, I mean the output, what does that indicate? Okay, and the third one, that is fit transform on the training data set and transform on the test data set. Okay, so this is what your third questions. And the fourth questions that we are having, why we are using the dummy variable. So one by one we'll discuss that one, and then after we'll start with the SVM algorithm for the classification. Okay, so train test split class that we use, specifically that class we have used so let me just import the libraries that are needed. Pandas as pd, import numpy as np. Okay, so these are the libraries that are needed. Now let's take two variable. One is x variable, in which I will add some parameter 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50. Okay, and let me add the parameter in the y, 10, 50 and 80. Okay, so these are my x and y parameter. Now I will use your train test split class, okay, for splitting the data set. I'm taking this example for explaining the parameters, okay, for explaining the parameters present in the train test and split class. Okay, splitting the data set. Okay, so which class we use? So we use, for that we need to just import the train test from sklearn dot preprocess sklearn dot model selection, sorry, model selection, then import train underscore test underscore split. Okay, so this is what the class that we need. Now next, just use the xtrain, then your xtest, ytrain, comma ytest. Your data set basically divided into the two type, but as there are two variable, so that's why we need four variable. Okay, now so let me just create the object of this train test split, and in that I will pass your x value comma y value. Okay, and then the test size. So it's a test underscore size, and that is equal to your 0.2. Okay, now and random state. So here I will explain the use of the parameters such as test size and random state is equal to any value. Random state is equal to let's take एक वैल्यू लेते हैं हम यहाँ पे 10. Okay, now so let me execute that variable with inconsistent number, that is 5 and 3. So let me add now. It's okay now. Now let me just show you print xtrain. Now testing size is equal to 0.2 means it's 20%. Okay, so 20%. Test size is equal to 0.2 means 20% is given to the testing data set and 80% is given to the training data set, right? Now, so there are total 5 values. So 20% of this 5, you'll get 80% of this 5. So you'll get the 4 values into the training and 1 value into the testing. Now, observe here, because of the random state, by default we are having the random state. Okay, but that x value 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50, it get randomized. Okay, it get randomized, and the meaning of this random state is equal to 10 means what? Every time when we execute this statement, you will get the same random value. Okay, so this I will show you with the help of the loop. So let me add one loop over here. For I in range of 5. Okay, and print x underscore train. Now अभी यहाँ पे ऑब्जर्व करो आप कि रैंडम स्टेट अगर मैं 10 लेता हूं यहाँ पे, तो ये क्या हो जाएगा, ये फिक्स हो जाएगा कि हमेशा रैंडम स्टेट 10 के लिए यही आपका रैंडमाइज वैल्यू रहेगी, फिक्स रहेगी। फर्स्ट इटरेशन के लिए, सेकंड इटरेशन के लिए, थर्ड इटरेशन के लिए, फोर्थ इटरेशन के लिए और फिफ्थ इटरेशन के लिए, राइट? नाउ सिमिलरली एक बार मैं फिर से फॉर लूप चलाऊंगा। ओके, एंड रैंडम स्टेट में यहाँ पे कुछ अलग वैल्यू करूंगा 1250। ओके, 1250 एक बार प्रिंट करूंगा फिर से। अब आप यहाँ से ऑब्जर्व करो कि रैंडम स्टेट अगर मैं 1250 अगर यहाँ पे रख रहा हूं, अगर ये फिक्स है मेरा रैंडम स्टेट, तो मुझे क्या मिलेगी? हर बार सेम वैल्यू मिलेगी। इज इट क्लियर द यूज ऑफ रैंडम स्टेट? नाउ you can take any value for the random state. Okay, I hope it is clear. Random state and the testing size that is related with the 20% goes for the testing and 80% goes for the training. Okay, so this is what the use of the test size. I hope this question is clear, right? Train, test, split, parameter. Okay, clear? If random state is equal to 0, then no worry, हम random state 0 भी लिख सकते हैं। फिर से एक बार आपको लूप चला के दिखाता हूं। Right, so this is what the random state is equal to 0. Observe here, random state, if random state is equal to I for the loop, ये क्यों करना है हमें? हेलो जितेंद्र, ये कर सकते हो आप, जैसे कि फॉर आई इन रेंज पर उसका कुछ यूज नहीं है ना। ये तो मुझे सिर्फ रैंडम स्टेट मुझे एक्सप्लेन करना है, इसलिए मैंने आपको लूप लेके यहाँ पे दिखाया है। दैट इज ऑफ नो यूज।
हर बार अगर हम टेस्टिंग और ट्रेनिंग अलग अलग करेंगे तो
इसके लिए ये जो रैंडम स्टेट का कंसेप्ट एक्सप्लेन करना था ना मुझे, रैंडम स्टेट का कंसेप्ट बहुत जगह पे आपका क्लियर नहीं होगा, क्योंकि रैंडम स्टेट जनरली हम कहते हैं कि रैंडम स्टेट 0 लेना है, 2 लेना है, 3 लेना है, कुछ भी वैल्यू लेना है, पर लेकिन एक्चुअली ये क्या है रैंडम स्टेट, तो ये लूप के थ्रू आपका क्लियर होता है। तो यहाँ पे आप 10 भी कर सकते हो, आप आई की वैल्यू कर, पर लेकिन उसका मतलब नहीं है, राइट। I hope it is clear. Now, next question. The next question is what happened after the feature scaling? I mean the output. Okay, what happened after the feature scaling? तो इसके लिए हमारे पास हमने कल execution करा था. That is the feature scaling that we have. So generally the purpose of the feature scaling is that to make all the columns into a one range. एक रेंज में हमें लाना है, ठीक है। अगर मेरे पास 4 कॉलम है, मैंने ये एक्सप्लेन भी करा था लास्ट इसमें भी, एक मेरे पास ए कॉलम है that is having the scale of 5, B is having the scale of 4, okay, and C is having the scale of 3 or 1. So now all these A, B, C are in a different scale, okay. So to make it in a single scale, to make it into the single scale means एक particular range में अगर मुझे लाना है, so that for that purpose we use the feature scaling, okay. So observe here, as far as the data set is concerned, in our data set we have this particular value, okay. One value is in a single digit, then age value is in a 2 digit, and the salary values are in a 5 digits, right? So to avoid the confusion, so we'll make it into the one scale, okay, to make it into the one scale, and for that purpose we use the feature scaling. Now observe the output. After scaling you will get this output. After scaling we will get this output. Now how we get the output? The mathematics behind that is the standardization, okay. The formula for the standardization is x minus mean divided by the standard deviation, okay. x माइनस मीन्स डिवाइडेड बाय द स्टैंडर्ड डिविएशन। तो एक एक वैल्यू हम इस फॉर्मूले से हमें मिलेगी। x माइनस मीन, पहले हम मीन निकाल लेंगे पर्टिकुलर, देन x माइनस मीन डिवाइडेड बाय स्टैंडर्ड डिविएशन, 1 by 1 हमें एक वैल्यू मिलती जाएगी और हमारा जो डेटा है दैट विल गेट स्केल, ओके। सो दिस इज व्हाट द यूज ऑफ द फीचर स्केलिंग। आई होप इट इज क्लियर। नाउ नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन, fit underscore transform on the training data set and transform on the testing data set. Now, as far as the feature scaling is concerned, we use the fit underscore transform. We first create the object of the standard scalar class for, as we are using the standardization method, okay. Then we use this st dot fit underscore transform on the x train. So basically ये फिट अंडरस्कोर ट्रांसफॉर्म करता क्या है? सो पहले जो आपका ट्रेनिंग डेटा सेट है उसके ऊपर फिट मेथड लगेगी। सो ये देयर आर बेसिकली फिट अलग मेथड है, ट्रांसफॉर्म अलग है, आप अलग अलग यूज कर सकते हो। यहाँ पे कॉम्बिनेशन में यूज है फिट अंडरस्कोर ट्रांसफॉर्म। तो आफ्टर फिट, when we apply the fit on the training data set, it calculates the mean value, okay. Let's suppose the mean value m and the standard deviation value sigma, okay, and stored it into some internal object, okay, stored it into the some internal object. So basically that mean and sigma is calculated on training data set, okay. So that should be calculated on the training data set and we store this into object, okay. So that value gets stored, okay. Now after that we will apply the transform method, okay. So we use this mean value and sigma value to transform this. So how we transform this? You know the formula, x minus mean and divided by sigma. So 1 by 1 we will place the value and we'll get the new value, Okay, one, second, third, fourth, fifth, so on up to. Okay, so this is for the training. Now, similarly, now next we'll apply the dot transform, not fit underscore transform, because we want to avoid the biasing problem. Okay, so to avoid the biasing problem, we only use the dot transform method. So dot transform method means what? We have the mean and sigma. We have the mean and sigma. Okay, because entirely this training and testing, it's not a different data set. It's a complete data set. It's a single data set. We divide it into the two part. Okay, for our purpose. So that's why whatever the mean and sigma that we have calculated on the training data set, whatever the mean and sigma that we have calculated on the training data set, same mean and sigma, same mean and standard deviation, we will use it for the testing data set. Okay, and because of that you will get the same kind of data. Okay, you'll not get some biasing into the data set. Okay, you'll not get some biasing into the data set. I hope it is clear. Somehow it is a complicated thing, you'll not get it this answer for this question anywhere. Okay, it's the most important question, why we apply fit underscore transform on the training data set and why we apply the transform on the testing data set. Whatever the mean and sigma that we have calculated on the training data set, the same mean and sigma we will use on the testing data set also. And for what purpose we use this same? Because we want the same kind of data. Same kind of data means we don't want the biasing in our data. चेंज नहीं होना चाहिए, राइट? डेटा सेट आपका चेंज नहीं होना चाहिए. ट्रेनिंग डेटा सेट और टेस्टिंग डेटा सेट में क्या रहनी चाहिए? सिमिलैरिटी रहनी चाहिए. And so because of that, we'll apply the dot transform method. I hope it is clear. Any questions you can ask directly. नहीं, सीधा क्वेश्चन पूछो. चैट बॉक्स में नहीं बोला है मैंने, डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन पूछना है.
गुड इवनिंग सर.
गुड इवनिंग मैडम, बोलो.
सर अगर हमारे डाटा सेट में मल्टीपल कॉलम्स हो, कैटेगोरियल कॉलम्स, तो उनके लिए हमें डिफरेंट लेबल एनकोडर और कॉलम ट्रांसफॉर्मर में अलग अलग ऑब्जेक्ट्स क्रिएट करने पड़ेंगे.
अलग अलग मतलब?
ऑब्जेक्ट जैसे हमने लेबल एनकोडर का एलई बनाया है, या कुछ भी ऑब्जेक्ट बनाते हैं क्लास से ऑब्जेक्ट, तो डिफरेंट कॉलम्स के लिए डिफरेंट ऑब्जेक्ट्स हमें क्रिएट करने पड़ेंगे.
जैसे इसमें अभी जैसे मैंने यहाँ पे 0 पास करा है, तो 0:1 पास कर सकते हो आप, 0:3 पास कर सकते हो, जितने आपके पास डेटा है, जैसे जैसे डेटा
सर
है.
एरर आ रही है. अगर हम डिफरेंट ऑब्जेक्ट्स लेके कर रहे हैं फिर एरर नहीं आती, अगर सेम में कर रहे हैं फिर एरर आ रही है उसमें.
नहीं, फिर आप थोड़ा कोडिंग जब लिख रहे होगे तब वो सही से नहीं लिख रहे होंगे. एक मैं केस स्टडी आपको दिखा देता हूँ उसके लिए, ठीक है? लेकिन मैं जल्दी से जल्दी दिखाऊंगा, ठीक है?
ओके.
लेट मी जस्ट शो यू वन केस स्टडी इन विच वी आर हैविंग एक टाइटैनिक डेटा सेट के ऊपर हम केस स्टडी करेंगे, ठीक है? फास्ट. दिस इज माय टाइटैनिक डेटा सेट. So it's a complex data set. So in this data set specifically, we are having the SAX column is your categorical column, okay, and then the embarked column is your categorical column, okay, and we need to handle that one. I have used some different method. Okay, so because one other method is also there for handling the categorical value, that is called as the get underscore dummies method. So using that method also you can handle the categorical column. Let me just Now this is my data set, churn modeling data set. Actually, in the previous case study, in the Titanic.csv case study, I have used different method. There are some other methods also to handle the categorical column. Okay, so other method is, that is the PD underscore get dummies method it is. Okay, that can, through which also you can handle the categorical column. Okay, but I just need to show you that one hot encoder first. So churn modeling dataset it is. As far as the churn modeling dataset is concerned, geography is one column, which is a categorical column, and gender is another column, which is the categorical one. Okay, so observe here, geography means like a country, France, Spain, and Germany, and gender contain female and male, and we need to handle this categorical column. So as far as this code is concerned, churn modeling dataset, okay, and let me just directly goes into the label encoding. Madam, observe here. Label encoder, first we import the label encoder from sklearn.preprocessing. Okay, then we create the two different objects. Okay, label encoder 1 for the first parameter. Okay, and label encoder 2 for the label encoder x2 for the second parameters or second attribute. Second attribute means that is your gender column. Okay, and then we use the fit underscore transform on on your geography column, and the fit underscore transform on your gender column. So you will get this the output after the label encoder, and after that we'll go for the one hot encoding. So in one hot encoding, you can directly pass that particular column 1, 2 by just typing the 1, 2. Okay, madam, clear?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
I think it is clear. Okay. So let me just close that one. Now, next question. Yes, next questions. Why we are doing the dummy variable trap? Okay, why we are using dummy variable trap? Anyone from the participants? Because lot many time I have explained this thing. Anyone? Geeta madam.
सर रिड्यूस करने के लिए हमें एक जो एक्स्ट्रा फील्ड होती है उसको हम रिड्यूस कर देते हैं, बाकी फील्ड से हमें इंफॉर्मेशन मिल जाती है.
राइट, बाकी फील्ड से हमें, अगर लेट्स सपोज आई एम हैविंग the three categories. Okay, three categories like India, Spain, and Germany. Okay, India, Spain, Germany, I am having the three category. So to represent this three category, I can just use the two column also. Okay, so to represent this three category, let's suppose 0, 0, it is for the India, 0, 1, it is for the Spain, and 1, 0, it is for the Germany. Okay, so the two column is sufficient to represent these three categories. Likewise, if you have the 5 categories, then 4 column is sufficient. Likewise, if you have the 6 category, then 5 column are sufficient. Okay, so to reduce the data set, okay, to reduce the size to or you can say memory size, utilize the memory properly, we use this dummy variable trap. Also, one more use is there, that is called as the correlations between this dummy variable, because these variable are highly correlated with each other. That correlation, I can say that is a multi-collinear, you can say. Okay, so this is what the use of the dummy variable trap. That's why we avoid the dummy variable trap. Okay, I hope it is clear. Right, so we'll start with the next topic. Right, please. Hello, participant, kindly mute yourself now. Let me just close it first. Now let's start. with the support vector machine algorithm. Most of you heard about this algorithm because this is one of the popular algorithm in the machine learning. Okay, one of the popular, I say one of the popular out of your logistic regression, right? Out of your neo-Bayes, out of your that you can say the KNN or then KNN, then decision tree, random forest, right? So these many classifications algorithms are there. I will just quickly summarize you the classification. You know the difference between the regression and classification, right? So in classifications we have the categories, and we have as in classification the target column is your target column is discrete in nature. The values are discrete in nature. Okay, or you can say there is a presence of categories. Okay, target column contain the categories. Now the algorithms like logistic regressions, then your KNN, then neo-Bayes, then decision tree, and random forest. Okay, so these are some of the classifications algorithm, and we are now discussing the one of the popular algorithm that is called as the support vector machine. Okay, so SVM is a classification algorithm. Okay, and mostly it is used for the classification, but somewhere down the line nowadays it is useful for the regression problem also. Okay, but the main use is for the classification. For the support vector for the regression we have one different class that is called as the support vector regressor. Okay, but specifically primary task for the SVM algorithm is the classification. Let's start. Support vector machine is one of the most popular supervised learning algorithm for the classification. Then it is based on the concept of the decision plane, and generally that decision plane is called as the hyperplane. Okay, so the alternative name, and that is used to classify the set of given object. Okay, specifically to classify, it's for the classification purpose. Okay, set of object that get classified by using the decision plane. Now, next part is the terminologies that is used in the support vector machine algorithm. So the first terminology, that is the support vector. Okay, the name itself, that your name of the algorithm is support vector machine. So that's why we have one terminology that is support vector. These are the data points or the feature vector lying nearby to the hyperplane. Okay, lying nearby to the hyperplane. When I will explain it through the actual example, then you will get the clear idea what is hyperplane, what is support vector, what is margin, what is kernel, each and everything. Whatever the terminology, theoretical terminology right now we are discussing, you will get each and every terminology through the example. Okay, so you just have to listen it carefully right now. Just okay, so let's proceed. This helps in defining the separating line. Okay, so basically this is used for defining the separating the line. The data points or the vector that are closest to the hyperplane and which affect the position of the hyperplane are termed as the support vector. Okay, so that is these are the points nearer to your support vector. Specifically, support vector means these are the points that is closest to your hyperplane or the decision plane. Now, next terminologies that we have, that is the hyperplane. There can be a multiple line oblique decision boundary to segregate the classes. Okay, but we need to find out the best decision boundary that can classify your data point. Okay, and the best suitable line that classify your object, it is called as the hyperplane for that SVM. Okay, for that machine. Another, it is a subspace whose dimension is one less than the decision plane. Okay, its dimension is always one less than the decision plane. Means what? Let's suppose you have the 2 dimension. Mostly you have the data that you can visualize in the 2D. Okay, so that for 2D data we need one dimensional separate line, or we need one dimensional hyperplane. Let's suppose you have the 3-dimensional plane, 3-dimensional data. Okay, so for the 3-dimensional data you need 2D hyperplane. Okay, so like it's always one less than the decision plane. The best hyperplane is the one with a maximum separation distance between the two classes. Okay, so this is what your hyperplane. Now, kernel. Kernel is the one of the main part, or I can say the heart of this support vector machine. Support vector is kernel is nothing but it is a set of mathematical functions that are defined as the kernel, and the function of the kernel is to take the data as an input and transform it into the required form. Okay, and specifically this SVM algorithm is implemented with the kernel that transform and the input data space into the required form. Required form means, let's suppose you are having the data in the three-dimensional space, and let's suppose that not get categorized properly. So you can use the kernel, first transform it into the two-dimensional space and then divide the data. Okay, the types of kernel that we have, there are 4 types of kernel we have: linear kernel, polynomial kernel, radial basic function kernel, and sigmoidal kernel, out of which mostly we use the radial basic functional kernel. Okay, we may mostly use, and somewhere down the line for the linear classification problem we use the linear kernel. Okay, so linear kernel and RBF kernel is of mostly used kernel. RBF kernel is having the alternate name that is called as the Gaussian kernel. Let me just explain the concept of the kernel here. So concept of kernel here is that, let's suppose you have the data in two-dimensional space, okay, and that is not get categorized. Okay, observe here, we have one data. Observe the data. Is it possible to divide this data by using single line, any kind of line? Answer is no. You cannot divide this data into the by using the single hyperplane. Okay, so for that purpose we use the concept of kernel. Okay, so this is your non-linear separable data. Data is of two type. Okay, so SVM is also get divided into the two type. One SVM that is for the linear separable data set problem, and second one is the non-linear separable data set problem. For linear separable data set we use the linear kernel, and for non-linear and linear, for both purpose we use the RBF kernel. Now observe here the role of the kernel. So it use the mapping function. So basically the data that we are having, it is in the two-dimensional space. Okay, so with the help of the kernel we just transform your data set into the three-dimensional space. Observe here, your input space get converted into from one dimension to other dimension. Okay, and after that when we transform the data from 2D space to 3D space, okay, then we will divide your data by using the plane. Okay, now it is a two-dimensional plane. It is, you can say this is your hyperplane, and now your data get divided. So this is what the role of the kernel. Now next, now we'll discuss this terminologies through diagrammatically. Okay, so margin. So margin, last terminology that we have, that is margin. Margin means it is defined as the distance from the data point to the particular decision boundary. ठीक है. Now अभी यहाँ से हम स्टार्ट करेंगे एक्चुअल एक्सप्लेनेशन. ये तो थियोरेटिकल पार्ट था. No. So whatever we have discussed now, you will get each and everything from this diagram. Okay, so these are the 2 points, or you can say the 2 classes. This is one class and another class, and we want to classify it. Okay, and specifically we want to classify that by using the support vector machine, and support vector machine uses terminologies such as support vector, okay, then hyperplane, okay, and margin. Now observe here. So the definition of hyperplane is what? The definition of hyperplane is that you need to separate these points. You need to separate these points so that the distance between these two categories is maximum. Distance between these two categories is maximum. Okay, so this is what your hyperplane. So we'll select the hyperplane as maximum distance. Okay, so margin should be maximum margin. Now what is support vector? Support vector is the point which is nearer to your hyperplane. Okay, so as far as this diagram is concerned, this point is nearer to the hyperplane. Okay, so this point is nearer to the hyperplane. This is my hyperplane. Now this support vector is nearer to the hyperplane, and similarly for this class, this support vector is nearer to the hyperplane. Okay, so that's why these are my support vectors. Okay, these are my support vectors, and then we'll draw the dotted line from this support vector, and this will become your margin. Okay, so this will become your margin now, and we need the hyperplane that is having the maximum margin. That is our motto. That is the objective of SVM. Objective of SVM is that we need to maximize this margin. We will select the hyperplane which can just differentiate the categories with a large margin. Now, so that's why the definition of the margin it is defined as the distance from the data point to the decision boundary, or you can say the distance from the support vector to the decision boundary. Now, once again, I will repeat the definition. Observe, read the definition carefully. There can be a multiple lines. For the same example, I can just separate this like this. Okay, so these are the three lines. But let's suppose this is my A, my B line, and this is my C line. Now, which one is selected as a hyperplane? Which one is selected as a hyperplane? Question mark. Now, observe here. The definition of hyperplane is that there can be a multiple line to segregate the classes, right? As per our example, we have the 3 lines, but we need to find out the base decision boundary, classify the data point. Okay, and this base boundary is known as the hyperplane. And the base hyperplane, the base hyperplane is one with the maximum separations distance between the two classes, maximum separation distance. So we want maximum margin. What we want maximum separation distance. Now, as per the A line, will not get the maximum separation, right? This point is nearer. Okay, so this point is nearer, so that's why we just neglect this line. Then next, about the C line, in case of the C also, this point is nearer, so that's why we neglect this C line also, and we select the B as our hyperplane. So B provides the maximum margin to us. Okay, so that's why it become your hyperplane. Now next, so let's take the example 1. As shown in the figure, we have the 2 set of data. This data set can be separated easily with the help of the line called as the decision boundary. Okay, but now observe here. As far as this data set is concerned, this is my A line, this is my B line, and this is my C line. Now you need to tell me which line we selected as a hyperplane. A, B, C. B, right? Jyoti, Bhavya, right? Everyone is getting the point, right? So B provides the maximum margin, right? When we consider the A, this point is nearer. Okay, so that's, and somewhere down the line, this point is also nearer. So through the A line, you will not get the maximum margin. Okay, through the A, you will not get the maximum margin. So avoid this line. Now check the C line. So as far as the C line is concerned, C is having the same problem, right? It will not provide the maximum margin. Now, observe here in case of the B. Now, next task is to find the support vector. Now, tell me which one is your support vector. Let's suppose I numbered here 1, 2, okay, 1, 2 here, and 1, 2. Okay. So, which is my support vector? Right, 1, 1. Right, Jyoti, correct, 1, 1. Because these are nearer point. So this will become your support vector. And then what we will do? We'll just draw the dotted line. Okay, so let's suppose we'll draw the dotted line. हम एक डॉटेड लाइन ड्रॉ करेंगे यहाँ से प्रॉपर नहीं आ रही है मेरे से, ठीक है, ये एक लाइन आ गई यहाँ से. Now this is your support vector. This is your support vector. I hope it is clear. These are the support vector. B line is your hyperplane, and this is called as the margin. Okay, so these are the three parameters or the three terminologies that specifically we use it into the SVM. Margin, the most one is hyperplane, support vector, and margin. The purpose of kernel is different. Okay, so purpose of kernel is different, that I have already explained, right? The purpose of kernel is that whenever you need to transform the data from one dimension to other dimension, or other dimension to the means vice versa, okay, vice versa, that time we use the kernel. Okay, right? So this is all about the terminologies. So let me just take the second example. So as far as the example 1 is concerned, so well, here the tip is that the decision boundary is the one which has the maximum distance from the nearest point of the two classes. Okay, so that's why B line is selected as hyperplane. And remember that the nearest point from the optimal decision boundary that maximize the distance are called as the support vector. Okay, so these are your support vector. And region that closest points define the decision boundary is known as the margin. Okay, so this part I have already explained to you, right? So this is what your margin. Okay, this red color line is your hyperplane, and these 2 points are your support vector. Okay, I hope it is clear. Now, next example, let's suppose we are working on data set. Okay, and in that data set, we have the label data set, and which tells the height and weight of the male and female. Okay, on the basis of height and weight, we need to classify our data set. Okay, now, so this is what my data set. Now, let's suppose when we add, because we need to predict, why we are creating this model, we need to predict something, right? We need to classify something. So as far as this concerned, I have added one new point. Okay, and I don't know whether he is male or female. Okay, question mark. And how the machine learning algorithm or how support vector machine classify whether the new data point is male or female. Okay, now this thing we can solve it by using the support vector machine. Now, so this is what our problem. Now the solution is that we use the concept of hyperplane, we use your support vector. Okay, so let me just, now we draw the decision line. This is called as the hyperplane. Okay, so this is what my decision hyperplane. Okay, now, but if we consider the decision line 1, okay, as per the decision line 1, the new point is get categorized as male. Okay, and as per the decision line 2, this new point is categorized as female. Okay, so this is what the use of the hyperplane. Okay, now we need to select which one we want, line 1 or line 2, and it should be depend on what? Your maximum, it should be depend on what? That is, it is depend on our strategy, right? The standard way to select the hyperplane, right? So tell me which line become your hyperplane, line 1 or line 2? Question is, which line is your hyperplane? Observe properly. If we take the line 2, then this point is very much near, right? One. Now, let's take it. Now, we need to know which line divide the classes correctly, line 1 or line 2. Okay, which line? So, the answer for that is the line 1. Okay, so as far as this concerned, the goal is to choose the hyperplane with the greatest possible margin between the decision line and the nearest point within the training data set. This is what the goal, how to select the hyperplane. So with the line 1, you will get the maximum margin. This just to explain the concept of hyperplane. Somewhere down the line, you will get the point, this is nearer, okay, some point. Now observe here. So this point, this will become your support vector, and this will become your support vector because this point is nearer. Okay, this point is nearer one, and this is your margin. Okay, this is your margin. Now your, as far as this is as far as the goal is concerned, your new data point is get categorized as what? Your new data point is categorized into the as a female or male, sorry, male, line 1. Okay, so this is what, with the help of line 1 we have categorized. Okay, I hope it is clear, this example. It is just to explain the concept, whatever we have discussed, hyperparameter, hyperplane, or your support vector, or your margins. On the basis of that, on the basis of hyperplane and support vector, we have decided that that particular new point get categorized. Now let's have another example. So this is what I'm having in example 3, the working of the SVM. In this, we have this data set. Okay, as far as this example is concerned, we have these 2 points. Okay, so this is my line A, this is my line B. Tell me which line is hyperplane. Right, it's B. Okay, it's simple and clear because B provide us which one? Let's take, if we take this one as your nearest point and this one. Okay, so then this will become your, sorry, this one become your support vector. Okay, and for this one become your support vector. Okay, and this will become your hyperplane. Okay, so this is what, hence the SVM algorithm help to find the baseline decision boundary. So same thing is written over here. You can read it. Okay, so this is what your SVM example 3. Okay, so small margin, large margin. Now, so this is all about the theory part of the SVM. and in the next, after the break, we'll discuss the implementation part of the support vector machine. Okay, so any problem so far in theory part?
Hello, sir.
Hello. Yes.
Sir, please explain the line 1 concept again.
Okay. Now we have the two possibility as far as this example is concerned. Okay, user created example it is. This is my new point, and I want to classify that this new point as a male or female. Okay, I want to predict it. Okay, so for that purpose I am having these two lines. Okay, so out of which I need to choose the best suitable line. Okay, so how can we choose it? So it should be depend on your support vector. Okay, so how we can identify the best suitable line? Best suitable line means what? Which is having the maximum margin. Okay, which is having the maximum margin and nearest support vector, which is having the maximum margin and nearest support vector. Okay, so as far as the line 1 is concerned, this is the distance. Okay, and this one. Okay, so this is the support vector, because support vector means what? Definition of support vector is that it's the nearest point, or the point which is nearer to your hyperplane. This is called as the support vector. So this will become your support vector 1 and support vector. Okay, for this class. And now observe here. So this distance is less distance. Okay, small distance it is. So that's why we select this line as our hyperplane. And if we select that line as a hyperplane, okay, line 1, then by default this input whatever we have provided, so this input is get categorized into the male. Clear?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Any more question? Okay,
There is a
then
question.
we'll take
Chat box.
hello.
Yeah, there is a question chat box.
Directly, please, participant, please ask question directly.
RS Jan, could you speak up your question, please? His mic is not working. He is saying, can you explain kernel?
Okay, kernel, wait. Now, what is the definition of kernel? Kernel is basically used to transform your data into one dimension to the other dimension. Okay, one dimension to other dimension and vice versa. That is the main purpose of the kernel. Now, basically, we use the kernel to solve the non-linear separable data set. Non-linear separable data set means what? Linear separable data set. We have the two type of data set: linear separable and non-linear separable. Linear separable means what? That data set you can just divide into the single line. Okay, directly you can divide it. So I will just show you the example of this. Okay, so this is what your data set. Okay, let's suppose this is my data set. So with the help of the single line, you can divide this into the two categories, right? But let's suppose you have this type of data. Now observe here, as far as this data set is concerned, this is my data which is in 2D space. Normally we can just visualize the data in 2D space. Okay, observe here, with the help of single line it is not possible. Any line A, B, C, it is not possible to divide the data, okay, into two categories. Now to divide this, to solve this type of problem, we need to use the concept of the kernel. Kernel basically it is a mapping function which just transfer your two-dimensional space into the three-dimensional space by adding extra axes. Normally we have the two axes, right? In 2D, two dimension, we have X and Y. But With the help of the kernel, we'll add one more extra axis, x, y, and z. Okay, so let me add x, y, and z. Okay, so this will become your z. And now your data, this data is get transformed with the help of the kernel into the 3-dimensional. And when it get transformed into the 3-dimensional, it looks like this. Okay, so it looks like this. Like, so when your data is in a 3-dimensional space, okay, when your data is in a 3-dimensional space, already I have explained the concept of hyperplane. Okay, when your data is in 2-dimensional space, then your hyperplane is 1-dimensional. Okay, when your data is in a 3-dimensional space, then your hyperplane is of 2 dimensions. So in this case, we need the hyperplane which is of 2-dimensional. Okay, clear? Okay, got it. I think Mukesh sir.
Yes, we can
Hello.
take a break now, please.
Yes, I will take the break of 15 minutes. Okay, and we'll join it sharp 6:15.
Okay, okay. So, dear participants, on Tuesday we'll have a quiz of 10 to 15. So, and based upon that, we are going to check out that who are eligible. So, prepare well. We will distribute the certificate. So, right now we're in the process of like who are attentive and who are attending our workshop. So, even though you can tell your friend that who missed a few sessions, and this is going to be very simple quiz, very generic kind of. So I request all of you prepare well, appear for your quiz on coming Tuesday, and again, and based upon that, share a list that who are eligible to have a 1-month certificate of workshop on machine learning with Python. Any question about this? Dear participants, any question about this? Is it clear to everybody? Okay, thank you. Yes, coming Tuesday we'll have a quiz where we are going to give you around 10 to 15 questions in MCQ form, and which you it is going to be very simple, not too much. It's not going to be tough. Very simple. So concept related to Python, then concept related to machine learning. Second quiz related to machine learning, which are supporting our machine learning under Python. So very kind of. I request all of you, like initially we were around 200 plus, 294 students were participating in this workshop. And nowadays we're having very serious kind of participants, like daily we are getting around 125 students who are very much serious about attending this workshop. So request those who attend it and would like to see, wants like a certificate. So I request that they can appear on coming Tuesday to give you that MCQ test, and simultaneously share your few information about your name, about your affiliation, to which particular schools, institution, or university you are belonging, and you have to put your name proper. Like you have to, when you're filling that Google form, that time you should be very cautious about filling your name and other credential. It should be neat and clean, no error in that. So based upon that, so timings will decide. Might be during break. During break when Nitin sir or Dr. Kasana will be break. So we'll have quiz that time only. Okay, Ritik Kumar. So prepare well, and we are very much optimistic that everybody will get the certificate.
Sir,
Yes, please.
sir, we have exams from Monday to Wednesday.
You're having exam
Yes, sir.
Monday.
Sessionals are there.
Which exam? Like we are going to take only one quiz, nothing else.
Yes,
So you're talking about your own exam or your
sir,
like
college exam. I'm from NIT Kurukshetra. Some of us have all students have exams from Monday to Tuesday, 2 sessions per day.
Jitendra Singh, it is hardly you just appear in that particular exam. We are not putting any condition that you have to secure 100%. So you just appear in that particular exam and you fill that form. It
The
hardly
main
takes.
concern is that the timing should not be clash.
So timings we are telling. So in the evening, who's going to conduct exam in Kushetra University? So we are starting our workshop at 5 o'clock. And most of the exam happens in a university, like in government university, early in the morning. So I don't expect any kind of clash would be there. Anji, sorry.
Sir, after 5:30 we will be free if the quiz will held on in between 6:30 to 7. It will be better for us.
I'm not getting you. Could you repeat your question, please?
सर 6:30 to 7 में बेटर रहेगा क्योंकि उससे पहले एग्जाम 5:30 तक होंगे मैंने.
Okay, no problem. You are saying that MCQ should be after 6:30.
Yes, sir.
Okay, no problem. We'll take care of this issue.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Any other question?
No.
Yes, Mario. Good evening.
Yes, good evening. Just one question. Will I be able to do this exam if I missed a couple of lectures?
You just fill, see, at that time you are supposed to fill the Google form only and you will be entitled for certificate.
Okay.
So like right now the participants are around 110 right now. So most of them are very regular, very punctual and they're attending. So it's just we are just collecting our record at how much you are going to learn. So it is not going to harm your entitlement for certificate.
No, the thing is, at this time I'm during work, so it's not always possible for me to attend. Especially this last week, it was impossible for me.
Mr. 5 to 10 minutes, hardly 5 to 10 minutes. So you just appear over there, fill the form, and we'll on
Yes.
Monday, on coming Monday, we'll tell you that at which particular time we are going to start our quiz.
No, I'm
Okay.
referring to. I'm just referring to the workshop. The workshop, I mean, takes 2 hours. So this week I wasn't able to attend all the sessions.
So not to worry about that. Not to worry. So
But obviously,
I'm sorry. Our all video are available on our YouTube channel. So you practice over there, but like MC in the session only. Whosoever going to fill out Google form,
Okay.
so they will basically
Sure.
or getting certificate from our side.
Okay. Yep. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Hello. Hello, Amit sir. Hello.
Yes, Ni-
Yes, sir. हाँ, start करता हूँ. So
जी.
let's start with the case study. Okay, so we'll discuss the case study on the social network advertisement data set. Okay, we'll create SVM model for the social network advertisement data set. Okay, so the problem that we want to solve as far as this social, this is my data set. Okay, as per this data set, we are having a column user ID, gender, age, estimated salary, and the purchase. Okay, the main theme for this data set is that we need to predict whether the person is capable to buy something or not. Okay, whether the person is capable to buy something or not on the basis of his age and estimated salary. Zero means not purchase, one means he can purchase the product. Okay, and we need to do the classification on this data set. Okay, so as far as this data set is concerned, I will consider the age and estimated salary for the prediction of the purchase. Okay, so this is my purchase is my become the target column, or you can say this is my dependent column. Okay, and age and estimated salary I am considering as independent column. Okay, as far as the user ID and gender is concerned, I am not considering these two column. Okay, I am not considering user ID and gender column. I am just neglecting that one. Okay, so I am just selecting age and estimated salary as my independent column. So your purchase is here depend on the age and estimated salary. So that's why age and estimated salary are your independent column. Okay, I hope the problem is clear, because the first thing is you need to be clear about your problem, what you want to do exactly. Okay, now next. So let's start with the implementation part. So first thing that we need to import the library, whatever the library that are needed. So the first library that we need, that is import pandas as PD. Okay, then we'll import numpy as np. Okay, so these are the libraries. Then next step is import the data set. Now how to import the data set? Anyone? Which function we are going to use to import the data set?
pd.read_csv.
Right, pd.read_csv. So we'll store our data into the, we read the data set pd.read_csv function, and in which we will pass our name of the data set. So name of my data set is the social network advertisement. So let me just copy it, place it over here. Okay, so in this way you can just read the data set and just use the data.head. Okay, so data.head, through which you will get the first 5 rows of your data. Now .csv is missing over here. Now, so this is what your data set. Okay, with that contain user ID, gender, age, estimated salary, and purchase. Now, out of this data set, we need to select the independent variable. So I'm considering age and estimated salary as independent variable, and purchase I'm considering as my dependent variable. Yes, that data set is available on the Kaggle, and also I will send it to you after the class. Okay. Yes, this is my dependent variable and I will name it as y. Okay, so indexing is 0, 1, 2 and 3. So let's suppose I want to extract your independent variable. So how can we extract? We use the ILOC function. Okay, so let me just use the data dot ILOC. Okay, in square bracket we will use, okay, and age. What we want age and estimated salary. So 0, 2 and 3. So what we need to pass over here, 2 colon 3 or 4.
4.
It should be 4, right? Values. Okay, so y data dot ILOC colon, and we are interested in the per column, which is your last column. Okay, so that should be present at 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So you can just write the 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So you can write 4 colon 5 also, and also you can write the 4 also, simple 4 also you can write, right? Now, so this is what my extraction of dependent and independent variable, right? So let me just print. Yes, you can also write the -1 also. Every person is having the different logic to extract that particular dependent and independent variable. Myself is having 20 to 23 way to extract this thing. Okay, various things are there, but you need to explore that one. Okay, but right now I'm just watching your chat box. You are getting it -1. Someone is saying -1. Someone is saying only 4. Okay, so that is what we can do. Okay, syntax is same. Only thing the logic is different. Print x and print y. So this is what your age and salary. Okay, and this is what my dependent variable. Okay, y. Now what will be the next step? The next step is to divide the data. Okay, is to divide. So one may can check the null values also. So how to check the null value? The command is data dot is null dot sum. This is the method to check the null value. So what we are getting here, so our data is free from the null values. Okay, so we don't need to handle the null value here. Okay, so we don't need to use your simple imputer class over here. Okay, again we don't need to use your that categorical data. We don't need to handle the categorical data also. Okay, only thing is that the next thing that we have, we divide the data set, right? So to divide the data set, split the data set into train and test. Okay, so which class I am going to use for that, and from which library we need to export import from? Yes, anyone? sklearn dot model
Train test.
selection. From sklearn dot model underscore selection. Okay, sklearn dot model underscore selection, we need to import the train underscore test underscore split class. Okay, wait a minute. Now after that, what we will do, we'll just store this, we'll take the variable like xtrain, then xtest. You can refer the help section. Okay, I know the sequence. Okay, so that's why I'm directly typing over here ytrain, then ytest equal to, now train underscore test underscore split, inside the bracket what we need to pass, has the X value, right? That is your independent column. Then dependent Y is your dependent column, right? Then your testing size. So the test size is what? Test underscore size is equal to 0. Let's take 0.2. Okay. So 20% is given to the testing, and random state is equal to 0. Now this is what we have. So let me execute. Okay, successfully execute. You can check the length of your xtrain using alien method. You will get the length of xtrain as 320, length of xtest as 8. Okay, so this is what the dividation into the 20 and 80%. Now, what will be the next part? Anyone after splitting the data set? Observe the data set carefully.
Standardization.
Right, feature scaling. We need to do the feature scaling. That is, we are using, that is the standardization, right? Very good. So let's do the feature scaling. Why there is a need of feature scaling as far as this data set is concerned? It is same as that like of your previous data set, right? So here age is your one column and estimated salary is another column, in which age having the data which is of 2 digit, estimated salary is having the data which is of 5 digits. So I can say that age and estimated salary are not scaled. Okay, so we need to normalize it into one scale. So that's why we use the standardization. So the formula for the standardization is what? X minus means divided by the standard deviation. You can also implement this code by doing the hard coding also. So, but here I'm using the sklearn library. So from that I'm using the standard scalar class which is present in your data pre-processing, sklearn.preprocessing. LERN sklearn.preprocessing. Okay, import standard scalar. Standard scalar. Okay, it should be SCALER. Okay, standard scalar. Now next we create the object of this standard scalar class. So SC is the object of the standard scalar class. Of standard scalar class. Now let's just use the fit underscore transform on your training on your testing data set. So your xtrain is equal to your sc dot fit underscore transform on your training data set. So let me copy this and store it here. Then x underscore test, we will apply only the transform over here. Okay, sc dot transform on testing data. Now, so this is what your scaled data. Now let me just print train and x test. dot pre-processing standard scalar. There is error in the standard scalar. So scalar, let me just check spelling. STAND standard scalar. In bracket, no, bracket is not there. Right. Done. So this is what your scale data. Okay, so age and salary is now in one scale. Observe the data. Your salary column is now in one scale. So now your data is now ready for the model building. Okay, so we perform the data pre-processing. Now our next task is to create the model. So scalar what? It's any question, madam? It's not scalar. It is SC. It's not scalar. Create the model. Okay, our data is ready. So we'll feed the training data, or you can say feed the SVM model. Into the training data set. Now, so to use the SVM classifier, we need to
मुझे लग रहा है नेट खत्म हो गया, मेरा प्रॉब्लम आ रही है। मैंने रेडमी किया, तू काम कर रहा है उस पे। मेरा वाला वो लेके आ।
Madam, kindly mute yourself. Hello. Now, next task is to feed the SVM model onto the training data set, and for that we need to import the SVC class, which is present in your sklearn.svm. So from sklearn.svm, we import SVC class. Okay, SVC class I'm going to import to create the classifier. Okay, SVM classifier. We need the SVC class. Okay, so let's create the object of this SVC class. So SVC in bracket. Okay, and directly you can create the classifier. I can say the SVM model. Easy. By default, it will take your kernel value. Okay, as a linear. So now next one, SVM model. So this is what we have created the object of this S. Next task is to fit the data. So for fitting the data, we use the dot fit method. So SVM dot model dot fit. Okay, and then we just pass your X tray. Okay, and your Y tray. Because while training the model, we'll only pass the training data set. It is called as the training the model. Now, so in this way, we have created the model. Now, we have created the model. Now, you can also use the kernel also. Let's suppose I want to use the kernel for this data set as linear. So you can use the linear kernel over here. Okay, linear. So there are 4 types of kernel: polynomial, then your Gaussian kernel, that we can call it as RBF, radial basic functional kernel, and final one is the sigmoid. And mostly used kernel is the linear kernel and the RBF kernel. Specifically, linear kernel is used for the linearly separable data set, and the RBF is used for handling the linear as well as the non-linear data set. So let me just show you here the output that we get with the help of linear kernel, and also we'll discuss the output that we will get with the help of the RBF kernel also. So let me execute it again. So is equal to what? The linear. Now Next part is to predict the. So we'll do the prediction now. Model is ready, and now we'll do the prediction. And prediction is always on the test data set. We use the dot predict method. Okay, so SVM model dot predict. The method that we use, that is the dot predict. Okay, method, and in which we will pass your testing data set. So we need to pass the test data set. Okay, so test X test, and whatever the output that we will get is your Y pred. So Y, it's the predicted data that we have, and in future we will compare your Y predicted value with the Y test. Okay, that is the purpose of your Y test. So now Y predict, print your Y pred. So this is what your predicted value. Now to analyze this result, let me just create the confusion matrix. Okay, I hope you all are familiar with the confusion matrix. So directly I'm using the concept of confusion matrix here, through which you will get to know the accuracy of your model. So comp sklearn dot matrix, sklearn dot matrix, we confusion matrix class. We import confusion matrix. Now CM is equal to, let's create the object by passing the your Y pred and Y test. So let me just copy this one, Y pred comma Y pred. So we pass the Y test and Y pred into the confusion matrix. Okay, now and just print this CM. Okay, so this is what your confusion matrix. Okay, now through the confusion matrix you get to know about the accuracy. To calculate the accuracy from the confusion matrix, we are always interested in the diagonal part, diagonal part. So 57 plus 16 divided by all the value, 57 plus 1 plus 6 plus 16. So whatever the result that you get, that should be your accuracy. Okay, clear how to calculate the accuracy from the confusion matrix? Sum of the diagonal element 57 plus 16 and divided by the total element present in your matrix, through which you will get the accuracy for your model. Okay, so this is what the accuracy. Now let me just represent this matrix with the help of the heat map, and I will use the Seaborn library for that, SNS, and in that we will use the SN dot heat map. You are familiar with this method, that is heat map, to draw the heat map, and we'll pass the CM. Okay, and that is the single argument, and one is ANONET is equal to true. Okay, that is the compulsory one. ANONET is equal to true. And just you can add the X label and Y label also. Import SN, SNS it is. Okay, so this is what your confusion matrix. You can add the X label and Y label also. So for that you need to import one more library. Import matplotlib as PLT. Okay. Then PLT dot what? X label. And second one PLT dot Y label. right? X label means your actual label. And Y label means your predicted label. One more method that we have, plt.title, that is confusion matrix. Okay, so this is what we have: X label, Y label. Okay, so Y plot is missing over here. Now it's complete. Hello, Amit sir. Noise,
हाँ जी नितिन जी बोलिए।
noise है आपको कुछ?
नहीं मुझे नहीं आ रहा अजय।
मेरे साइड नॉइज आ रहा था इसलिए, कोई बात नहीं, चलो नेक्स्ट।
Okay.
Heat map and the representation of your matrix into the. Now the last part, if you want the accuracy directly, if you want to print the accuracy, then we have one method that is called as the accuracy underscore score method, which is also present from sklearn.matrix. From sklearn.matrix. Matrix code and score. Okay, so this which you can use. ACC is equal to create this is what your class accuracy underscore score, your predicted value and test value. And you can print the okay, you can just multiply it by 100. So you'll get the 91.25% accuracy with the help of the linear kernel. Okay, with the help of linear kernel. Now I will show you. I will create another model with the help of the RBF kernel. Okay, RBF. RBF kernel. You can get kernel information from this extra parameter information. So this linear kernel, polynomial kernel, RBF kernel, sigmoid kernel, and pre-computed kernel. So, okay, by default it is RBF kernel. Now, let me just use it. Generally, when the kernel is equal to RBF, then that algorithm is called as the kernel SVM algorithm. Okay, one more category is there. Okay, one is simple SVM algorithm and second one is the kernel SVM algorithm. So whatever the regard the kernel, so that is the part of your kernel SVM. Okay, and kernel SVM is specifically designed to solve the non-linear to use it for the non-linear separable data set. Okay, and the same concept we will discuss it in the dimensionality reduction concept also. There also we need to use the kernel concept. So I will name this SVM model with the help of RBF. Okay, again RBF. Now, so this is what we have created with the help of the RBF. Now, next part is prediction on test data set. So prediction on the test data set. So we use the dot predict method. svm underscore model underscore rpf. Okay, this is the name of my model, and dot predict is the method. Then dot predict, after that what we need to pass, we'll do the prediction on what? We'll do the prediction on your testing data set, right? So we need to pass the y test and your predicted value, and that prediction I will take one other variable r y pred 1. Now
सर एक्स टेस्ट के ऊपर नहीं होगी?
x test, right, not y test. The prediction should be on testing data set. It should be always on the testing data set. Okay, and y test is comparison. That is what you are. Next, the confusion matrix we will create to check the performance. So that we'll directly use, because we have already imported that confusion matrix class from sklearn.matrix. We directly use the cm is equal to confusion underscore matrix in bracket your test data set, confusion matrix means y predicted value and y test. It should be y underscore test. Now observe here, as far as the confusion matrix is concerned, observe the accuracy calculated with the help of the calculator. Okay, 55 plus 21 divided by 55 plus 1 plus 3 plus, and text me to chat box. Percentage accuracy. Ninety-six percent.
95%.
95. Okay. So it will be your 95%, right? Multiplied by 100 also there. Okay, so we'll get it into the percentage. 95%. Now observe. So with the linear kernel, what we will get, the accuracy that we are getting, that is the 91.25. Now, when we use the RPF, so your accuracy is now get improved, right? So accuracy is now get improved, and it is 95%. Okay, the same you can just use this code to plot your heat map. Okay, and the last one that we have, that is accuracy underscore score method. So accuracy underscore score is the method in which we pass your y pred 1 and y test. Multiplied by 100. Okay, so we'll get the 95% accuracy. Clear? So this is what we have. Let me check with one more. Now this is one more method. Okay, that is the dot score method. There are lot many methods through which you can get the performance. Okay, so out of which this is one method, dot score method, but it is somehow it is complicated. So so you will not get this method anywhere because it is somehow complicated, dot score method. Okay, apart from this accuracy underscore score, we have the confusion matrix, we also have the performance matrix class also. Okay, and the dot score method also. But in dot score method we will pass the X test and the Y test. Okay, and this method works specifically. This is your model. Okay, SPM model. So this method first predict the value for this X test. Okay, dot predict method. Internally, what it performs the dot predict method on the X test, and you will get the Y pred. Okay, and after that Y pred is get compared with your Y test, and then you will get this accuracy. This is what the use of this dot score method. Okay, clear? This is extra part which I have explained. Now I just need to summarize this thing. Okay, one by one I will summarize it. So first part, in the hands-on SVM algorithm on social network dataset, the first part is to import the library, import pandas as PD, import numpy as NP. Then we'll go for importing the dataset by using the read underscore CSV function, in which we will pass the file. Okay, then after that we will use the dot head method to see the structure of our dataset. After that, we'll go for the extraction of independent and dependent variable. Okay, so for that we use the ILOC function of pandas, and we print that X and Y. Then to check the null value, presence of the null value in my data set, I use isNull.sum method, through which I get to know the presence of the null value. So from this method, I get to know that there is no null value in my data set. After that, we'll go for splitting the data set into the training and testing data set by using train underscore test underscore split class, which is present in sklearn.model underscore selection library. And we use train underscore test underscore split class, in which we will pass the 4 parameter: capital X, small y, test size, and random state. So capital X is your independent variable, Y is your dependent variable, testing size 0.2 means the training 80% given to the training data set and 20% given to the testing data set, and random state is equal to 0. Okay, now next we have calculated the length of the training, how much rows are there into the training, how much rows into the testing by using the alien method. After that, we discuss the feature scaling. So for that, we use the standard scaler class, which is present in sklearn.preprocessing library. Then we have created the object of standard scaler class, and then we use the fit underscore transform on the training data set and dot transform on the testing data set. Okay, and we print the value. This is what your feature scaling. Now next, fit the SVM model to the training data set. Okay, so fit the SVM model to the training data set. So here, actually, this is the part of your model creation. Okay, that is your classifier. So for that, I'm using the SVC class, which is present in the sklearn.svm. We create the object of SVC class by passing the kernel as linear. Okay, and after that, we fit the model on the training data set. So we can fit the model by passing the training, X-train and Y-train. Now, next one is prediction on the testing data set. Okay, so prediction should be on your test data set. So for prediction, we use the dot predict method. SVM underscore model, this is my model. This is the name of my model, trained model it is, and on which I have applied the dot predict method, and the prediction should be done on the testing data set. Okay, so I passed here test data set and store that particular result into the ypred. Ypred means the predicted value of y, and printed it. So these are the printed values, predicted values. Now, next, to check the performance of my model. Okay, so this is what for checking the performance. As per the life cycle, this is prediction on the testing data set, evaluating that, and this is what the performance or confusion matrix. So for the performance, we have the different way. The first way that we have discussed, that is the creation of the confusion matrix. Okay, in the confusion matrix, we pass y-test and y-pred value and store it into the CM, and we'll get this confusion matrix. Okay, and from the confusion matrix also we can get the accuracy just by adding the sum of the diagonal element dividing by the total number of elements present in your matrix multiplied by 100. You'll get the accuracy. Then we plot that matrix with the help of the heat map that is present in the Seaborn library. After that, we have discussed one more parameter, that is accuracy underscore score, through which you get to know accuracy of your model directly. Okay, so accuracy underscore scores, the same parameter we will pass as like that of the confusion matrix and multiplied by 100. You will get the accuracy. One more extra method is there. This is the additional method. Okay, dot score method it is. Now next, we feed the SVM model to the training data set with the help of RBF kernel. Okay, radial basic functional kernel or the Gaussian kernel. So this is the most prominently used kernel. Okay, most of the time you will get this type of kernel and you will get the better accuracy with the RBF. Okay, so that's why we prefer to use the RBF for many cases. So we created the model again. Only we change the kernel value over here and use the dot fit method on the training data set, then do the prediction on the testing data set, and we create the confusion matrix and Seaborn library and accuracy underscore score. So this is all about this session. Okay, so I hope it is clear to everyone. Okay, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
I will take the question just and note it down. Okay, क्योंकि आज मैं सिर्फ आपसे क्वेश्चन ले लूंगा जो जो आपको लगता है आज के लिए, और जो क्वेश्चंस के जो आंसर रहेंगे वो मैं नेक्स्ट क्लास में दूंगा, क्योंकि आज मैं कंटिन्यूअसली 3 सेशन हो गए मेरे 2-2 घंटे के। एक आपको लग भी रहा होगा, एक मॉर्निंग में था 2 घंटे का, एक आफ्टरनून में था और एक अभी था, तो अब एनर्जी थोड़ी कम हो गई है। तो आज सिर्फ मैं अभी क्वेश्चंस आपके लिख लेता हूँ, ठीक है? चलो पूछो। Let me open it. Yes, any questions?
सर टाइम पैरामीटर को लिया जा सकता है?
Yes, टाइम पैरामीटर भी ले सकते हो, आप ले सकते हो टाइम पैरामीटर।
क्या कोड होगा
उसका
उसके लिए? क्या कोड होगा?
ठीक है, मैं बता दूं, मैं बता दूंगा आपको। टिक टॉक रहता है उसका ना, टाइम पैरामीटर सिंपल कोड रहता है, ज्यादा कुछ नहीं रहता है, ठीक है? हाँ, टाइम पैरामीटर क्वेश्चन 1। नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन।
सर मल्टीपल कैटेगरीज कैसे कर सकते हैं?
मल्टीपल कैटेगरीज मतलब
जैसे आपने 0-1 में
मल्टी क्लास क्लासिफिकेशन, मल्टी क्लास क्लासिफिकेशन, ठीक है? मल्टी क्लास क्लासिफिकेशन का एक एग्जांपल नेक्स्ट इसमें करूंगा, ठीक है? कवर मल्टी क्लास क्लासिफिकेशन।
सर क्या हम जो हमारी अनसुपरवाइज्ड लर्निंग होती है, जैसे जिसमें कंटीन्यूअस डाटा होता है, उसमें हम एसवीएम यूज कर सकते हैं?
इसमें कंटीन्यूअस डाटा में नहीं कर सकते हो आप। कंटीन्यूअस डाटा पहले ही हमने डिस्कस करा है।
नहीं, इसमें एसवीएम नहीं, एसवीएम अगर हम लगाएं तो नहीं चलेगा सर, वैसे नॉलेज के लिए पूछ रहा हूँ।
नहीं, कंटीन्यूअस डेटा मींस व्हाट? रिग्रेशन।
जैसे आपका आउटपुट जो है वो जैसे प्रेडिक्शन ऑफ सैलरी है, कोई वैल्यू है, जैसे रादर देन वो क्लासिफिकेशन की बजाय आपके पास जैसे आपने सैलरी प्रेडिक्ट करनी है एम्प्लॉय का।
that is not the classification problem, that comes into the regression problem.
No, that I know that, but sir actually I'm just asking that by SVM can we do that?
Yes, you can do that. We have one regression model also,
Okay.
SVR. Okay.
SVR.
So because your this SVM can also be used for the regression also. Okay, I'm having the code for that also. I will just
Please,
show.
sir,
I will
if you
just show
have,
you.
please share with us.
Yes, in next class.
Okay. Sir.
Regression, SVR, support vector regression. Okay, next. But generally we do not use this. Okay, generally we for the regression we specifically use the simple linear, multiple linear, polynomial. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay, we can also use TensorFlow for that.
Yes, that is the different part. Na? You are
Okay,
jumping
no.
from the
Yeah. Sure. Sir. No.
SVR. Okay, so this is what the SVR class. Okay, so I will discuss that one in the next. Yes, any more question?
सर आपने डिफरेंट पैरामीटर्स डिस्कस किए थे, रिकॉल, एफ स्कोर, एफ स्कोर.
क्वेश्चन नंबर 4 आपको ये प्रूव कराना है आपके इसके लिए प्रिसीजन, राइट?
यस सर.
ठीक है, प्रिसीजन, रिकॉल, F1 score.
Yes sir.
And the last parameter you will give the support. Support is of no use. Okay, so 3 line of code is needed for that. Okay, performance matrix. Okay, so ये भी next इसमें बता दूंगा. Next, any more question? Okay then. So this is all about the SVM 25.
Okay, Nitin ji, thank you very much for this wonderful session. And all the participants, so on coming Tuesday, we'll have a small MCQ. And based upon that, we'll select the candidate for certificate. Thank you very much for your patience, for your listening and participation.